G'day folks, welcome to Building Metals channel. I'm Toby. I'm out in the bush just south of Ballarat, we'll say, in some beautiful looking country here. There's some fairly significant diggings here, working up a reef along there. Just down here is a shaft, which are obviously everywhere out here. We look down there, I'm not going to lean too far over there because I know how deep that one is. So very shortly I'll go down and add it and show you what that one looks like from the bottom. Before we get to that, I'm going to head down there to the first adit, second adit, depending on which direction you're coming. There's a collapsed one down there, and then we'll head in underground. So let's go for a bit of a walk down there. Okay, so this is that other adit there. As you can see, it's all collapsed and filled in. There's not a huge amount of mullock here. So we'll zip a little bit further over this way. There's a battery site and another pretty decent mollicute. There's the remains of a battery crushing quartz, a stamper battery just here. There's a few remnants of the foundations and a pile of sand down there. Decent mollicute here. Ore pile there, never got crushed. Just up here, there's a much more interesting adit. Alright, that is a better hole. Let's go and have a look in there. Okay, now at this point I didn't realise, but I'd turned my microphone off. So I'm doing a bit of a voiceover here, because if you don't turn the microphone on, you do not get any sound whatsoever. Now, this adit is beautifully made, as you can see. Little quartz leaders running through the ceiling there, or the backs, as the top of the mine is called. Lots and lots of mineralisation and fault lines and interesting structures in this particular mine. It's in pretty good nick mostly. There's a slab that's scaled off the side there. A few little quartz formations just there. So you can see the bleaching along the sides there. I imagine fluids moving through and bleaching out areas along fault lines. There's a fault line there. That's leather jacket, as we call it. So leather jacket clay is from slippage or faulting. As the earth moves, it kind of crushes and pulverises the clay, the rock, turns it into clay. And some really mineralised quartz just here. You can see the carbonates and iron oxides in there. There's siderite, which is iron carbonate, and dolomite in there as well, I imagine. And from this point on, there's decent looking reef or leader running along the entire back of the mine. So the light you can see there, that's coming from a shaft you're just about to see. A bit of a squeeze here, so I was faffing about with equipment trying to make myself fit through there without touching the backs. Never touch the top. And that is looking 35-ish feet, 30-35 feet, about 10 metres straight up to the daylight. Pretty cool view up the shaft. There's a bit of a squeeze down this side as well. Always concerned about bull ants, but it was a bit of a cool sort of a day, so not too bad. A few logs and stuff. I imagine they've been dragged in there by people that have been exploring this mine. So the quartz formation's starting to get bigger and much more complex looking in here. There's little leaders and veins and bits and pieces running off everywhere. This is a little crosscut. It's looking to the right, back to straight ahead, and looking to the left. That one goes quite a way, but we'll see those shortly. So down and added a bit more, and there's a bit of stoping. You can look up a reasonable sort of stope there. It's timbers that have got a huge amount of pressure on them looking at that. Quite a bit of quartz there. You're not that far under the ground here, not far under the surface, so I'd say that's the reason I haven't stoped up too far. There's a bit of a wind's going down that way. No idea how deep that is, but not a good thing to put your feet on. Just don't know what's underneath it. A few timbers stacked there. I don't know if they've fallen out and someone's put them there in recent years or not, but so those little sticks there are not that strong when you consider what they're holding up there. It's a strange little setup, that. Not a good thing to stand under. Massive slab of rock. The idea of the timbers is more to stop movement starting rather than actually hold the rock up. You can see the cracking there. There's a lot of pressure on that. So if you know where this mine is, I'd strongly recommend not going into that part. Not something I'd normally go under, but yeah, sort of snuck around it for the video. So that's probably the end of their claim there, I'd imagine, or at least where they gave up at this particular spot. There's a stacked reef system. You can see there's a reef on the right, and then there's a couple, two structures in the middle and one on the left. Looks like it's crystallised or formed over a couple of generations of mineralisation here, over millions of years. Heaps and heaps of iron minerals in there. Zip back to the right hand adit, or left hand adit drive, left hand one going this way. See the reef dipping down into the winds there. I don't imagine that's very deep, but they've backfilled it with a bit of waste from the stope, I'd say. Timber's still got its bark on. This mine was 1880s, 1890s, around about there. So these timbers have done pretty well. The pressure on that one's amazing there. Looking up at really interesting quartz formations there. So, on around the corner. Have a look down this little adit here. Little drive, I know I keep calling them adits, they're drives once they're underground. Not what that stick's there for, but yeah, it just goes through to a bit of reef there. It's broken a few rocks. Zip back the other way. It gets rather interesting a bit further up. So there is the shaft. To the right there is the stope. We'll head in this way. It's the shape of this tunnel. So we're heading parallel to the gully now. Move along fairly quickly because there's really not a huge amount to see in here. Don't know how far underground we are here. There's a little reef there. Little leader running down. And it sort of peters out. Okay, go a bit further in. You can see there's been a bit of water running in the bottom here. It comes in from shafts further up. A small reef. Fascinating mine. Yeah, most of the people that worked in these mines weren't 6 foot tall. It's hard on the back. Here's a more decent reef structure. It's heavily faulted. Whole series of them running through here. Here's the second line of reef running through. Someone's taken a sample of it. Look at that for mineralised, massively mineralised ground. Really, really cool. Reef after reef after reef. Another one that's been sampled. When these were sampled is anyone's guess. Could have been back in the day. Could have been mining companies. Could be modern day prospectors. Hopefully no one destroys this like they've done in some mines. The history of this is fantastic. Been timbers in here. Here we have the second crosscut. There is a tunnel going that way. If you look the other way, we'll go down that in a minute, that goes to the other adit. So I'm going to continue going straight. Here is a sudden change of direction. Don't know why, whether they've come to here and then someone else has continued this later, who knows. Everyone who knew the answer to that has died a long time ago. This is the end of it here. They've been following this this fault. You can actually see the grey. Put this down. You can't see anything when I do that. This, how do I do this? Grey clay. It's not actually real clay, it's broken up, powdered and then recompressed slate as the fault lines moved. Really shiny. Kind of cool. I found gold in that stuff where it crosses gold reefs, gold bearing reefs. So turn back around here. Back to this little cross course. So straight ahead there is the way out. You actually feel a draft running through. If we turn to the right here, we've done a bit more work on that fault line. Down here, we're not very far underground at all here. You see collapsed, blocked off adits. This is what they look like from the inside. That's that adit we saw on the outside there. I don't know whether it's collapsed or it's been blasted in. A little bit closer. Yeah, look at all the rotten ground up there. Huge slabs that have come down. Amazing. It's not what you want to see when you come to go back out of the mine. Across that, you're in a bit of trouble. Standing up, let's turn around. There's a reef through there. I wonder if they dug a bit more reef out than they should have near the entrance. Or it's been deliberately blasted in, which is quite possible. I'll show you this reef structure here. Look at these coming down. A whole series of complex reefs full of quartz, carbonates, bits of slate mixed in. It's all very, very faulted country. Really cool. No, go straight here. I don't know if this was a separate mine back in the day, and they've kind of joined up, or what the deal is with this. There's obviously no real way of knowing. Unless we can find some records. So to the right here is the way out. Dave and Steve are down there somewhere, hopefully. Just continue straight in for a bit. This is bad ground. Slab sitting there, not cool. Now, from memory, you can't go much further in here. See this ground here, that's where it's been stacked. People have stacked the rocks in there instead of taking them out. Let's just see what I can do up here. See how safe this is. Look good there. That's what I'm looking for. The slabs sitting like those, where they can just fall on me. It's obviously very bad for your health. I don't like this ground. So that continues there for another couple hundred metres. I'm not going to go down there. I don't like the look of this ground. Some timber's still sitting here. You can see where there's been a heap more. If we look up to the surface, it's probably only, I don't know, 30 feet, 10 metres up there. Once upon a time this would have continued back down there. So that's as far as I'm going to go there. Well, I can get past that. I've been down there before, but it's a really tight squeeze. And then there's another shaft a bit further on that has got a cap on it. It's all hung up rocks. You got to crawl under that. I did that when I was younger in Celia. Yeah, you won't see me doing that sort of adventuring these days. I like the potential of staying alive for another 45 years or so. So, here we go. That was the way out. I'm going to head back down that way to the surface. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching, folks. I hope you really enjoyed this absolutely amazing mine. This is only really about half of it, but the rest is either completely blocked off with collapses or, yeah, you've got to go through that little squeeze to get to it. So it is a really amazing place. So thank you very much for watching. I'm out of breath. I need to get fitter. Hot in here. Thanks for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. I've got heaps more interesting stuff coming up. Lots of mining to come in the very near future as well. But good luck out there, folks. Find heaps of gold. I'm going to go back out that way into the 3 or 4 degrees, whatever it is this morning, and cool down a bit. Till next time.